It was a Fed meeting week, and they held strong and firm that the fight against inflation is far from over. The Federal Reserve met this week and shared their announcement that they were not cutting or hiking interest rates, just pausing. The labor market appears to be stable enough, and inflation is not at their target yet. They might have actually had an inside preview of the PCE numbers that were released this morning. Almost immediately after the Fed announcement, Trump got on Powell's case publicly, saying he wants lower rates. He actually said the same thing last week. The markets don't seem to be reacting a ton to his commentary because they're probably wondering the same thing you and I are. Can the president really lower interest rates? Especially amidst policies that seem to be quite inflationary. Sandy and I are going to dive into it on Property Pursuits, our monthly market webinar, and you should register to join us live because we'll discuss, does the president really have the power to lower interest rates? For now, let me share two things that I think could lower interest rates this year, and one thing that I think really should lower interest rates. So the first is the spread between the 10-year Treasury and the 30-year fixed. This is the hidden force behind better interest rates that I talked about here 2 weeks ago. And it's worth going back to check out that blog because this could bring interest rates into the fives this year, regardless of what the Fed does. Or you could just check out the condensed explanation that I'm going to post on Instagram, but it definitely won't make you sound as smart as the post. The second thing that could bring lower interest rates this year is a recession. If the Fed chooses to maintain a politically uninfluenced stance, then it seems possible they don't cut rates much this year because we're dealing with ruthless inflation. It seems like they're going to strengthen their spine because that's what they did this week, even amidst pressure from the president. He had just last week publicly said he knows better than them. Something that the Fed had already seen the PCE numbers. So they met earlier this week on Tuesday and Wednesday. PCE came out today. But let's be honest, they probably had access to the information that showed inflation rose 0.3% in December, and year over year, we went from 2.4% to 2.6%. That's the opposite direction of their target of 2%. Economists are surveyed fairly often on the likelihood of a recession coming. Right now, those forecasts show the odds of a recession happening this year are between 25 and 30%, which seems high, but that is actually a lot more optimistic than these economists have been. The problem is, part of the reason economists think that a soft landing is possible now is because the Fed had cut rates last year. They had started a rate-cutting cycle, mitigating the risk of a recession. If the Fed doesn't make any cuts this year because inflation spikes up again, then recession odds are likely to jump significantly. And while that's certainly not good news for anyone, it does bring lower interest rates. So I guess it's good news for some. And finally, here's something I personally think should happen this year and reduce interest rates, but I can't tell you the odds of it actually happening. We need to ditch loan level price adjustments. These are pricing hits to interest rates put in place by the government based on perceived risk within a borrower's profile. So this is why a higher credit score gets you a better interest rate than a lower credit score would. There are loan level price adjustments for loan to value, meaning how much you're putting down, for a property type, whether you're buying a condo or a single family or multifamily. There is a loan level price adjustment for occupancy. So if you're buying a primary residence, you're getting a better interest rate than if you were buying a vacation spot or an investment property. Fannie and Freddie put these into place, and they're such a buzzkill. Like, they really take an interest rate that could be here and maybe increase it by up to 100 to 150 basis points, meaning a point to a point and a half higher interest rate. And borrowers are already facing rates that feel high. So it's certainly not helping anything. I would say interest rates are higher than necessary right now, and you'll have to check out previous posts to understand what that means. But getting rid of loan level price adjustments would certainly ease the pain. And then big news, you guys, Mortgage and Mimosa's RSVPs open tomorrow. There are only 50 spots, so you're not going to want to miss your opportunity to grab yours. I'm sure that within just a couple days, it'll be full. Plus, you can also get your ticket to The Future is Female now, which is happening on March 6th, and I hope to see you all there.